welcome back to Let's Go, and today we're going to show you how to change your brake cable on your Ninebot Max with a few simple tools. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by KickMotion, official partners with Ninebot. They do round the world delivery and they are super quick and fair priced. We are so close to our 1,000 subscriber target. Once we're there, I will start selecting the winners. Please head over to the giveaway video, the link will be in the description on how you can win yours. Let's get started. So first things first is what we want to do is get the scooter up off the ground. It's not essential, but it will help you. For this purposes, what we want to do is take off this little retaining nut here and then the actual adjustment nut just here. This one is a 8mm. And then you've got a 14mm there. I'm going to go ahead and pop the 14mm over just to lock that into place, and then we're going to crack off the 8mm. There we go. So the locking nut actually goes up against there to stop this moving. So next what we're going to do is take off the adjustment nut. So we're just going to relieve the tension a little bit by lifting that up, and then we're going to turn this until we get it off. Remember to take some photos if you can't remember which way things go, so take plenty of photos beforehand. And there is the locking nut. It has a little indentation to fit up against the barrel here. And then go ahead and pull out the cable. We'll take the little boot off. This is to protect the spring and to stop dirt getting in there and stopping the braking mechanism. And then we're just going to pop the spring off. Next part is to take off this nut here. This is 11mm, and this simply holds the cable in place. And now the brake is free from that area. So what we need to do at this point is gain access to the column here, because we're going to be threading through and it's going to be a bit of a pain to thread between there and there without being able to see. So we're going to take all 6 screws out to take the neck off, and then we're going to actually fold the scooter down and then rest the handlebars on the table there. We don't want to, and then unclip it as well. We don't want to be putting any strain on the wires inside here. You can do this with the 3mm tool that came with the scooter, or you can use a 3mm Allen key. I'm just going to use the one that came with the scooter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. So now we've taken out the screws, we're going to take out the head, but we want to make sure that we've got enough slack in there. So what we're going to do is just make sure. So what we're going to do is just make sure that we push a little bit of this cable that's going into the main body up through there, so we've got more in the actual stem itself. And we can go ahead and pull that out. Pull the cable with it. As you can see, there's the main clip, so we're going to unclip, being careful not to tug the wires like so. I'm just going to rest that down on the table. So we're looking down the stem and you can see the 2 wires. We're just going to pull up the brake cable through that. Okay, so the next point, we want to take up these rubber grommets just so that we've got free moving wires. And just pull it out with our fingers, nice and easy. We don't want to be ripping them. And then pull out this one as well. So what we want to do next, before we pull out the cable, we just want to make sure that we unhook it from the actual brake lever itself, which is so simple. It sits in just like so. Give it a little pull so it's got some more wire. Press the brake and then thread it out just like so. And now we should be able to just go ahead and pull that cable through. Super simple. Right, now here's the tricky part. I'm going to take the end with the bit that has the H on it and the extension there. We're just going to thread it in reverse up through the hole, being very, very careful. So I can see it's in there now. And we essentially want to get it through that hole. So if you've got long fingers, you could probably get it through there, no problem. I think we're going to need to use another tool. So maybe if you've got tweezers for this, it would actually be very handy. It's going to be a bit fiddly to get it through. So I'm basically just the H bit that's on the end, the little knob, I'm putting my finger on that, pushing it against this part of the wall, exposing some of that wire, so I've got some grippers here to be able to grip onto it. Thread those through. Being careful not to damage anything. There we go. And then I'm going to thread a bit more through. Being very careful not to damage any of the cable itself. So give yourself plenty, because you can pull it back through later. And then pop this back in, so hold the brake lever down, pop the H bit back in, there we go. So that's now locked into place. We can pop that through there, put a bit more cable through, and then simply hook everything back up again. So with the cable, when you first get the scooter out the box, you actually have to attach this to this. Nice and simple. There's a little line in there that matches up with the little slot there. If you find that your scooter doesn't turn on for the first time, or you're having issues charging it, or anything with the console, or anything with your scooter, always double check this bit first. There we go, we're just popping that back on. Simply slot that back into place. Okay, so now we've got the neck back on and the cable's all through. Next point of call really is, it doesn't matter which way you do these, you can either add these back on or add your grommets in first. I'm going to go ahead and screw this back on. You're going to need some thread locker for this, as it came with it out the factory with thread locker, and it's going to take a lot of vibration. You want to make sure that you get some on there. So just a little dollop, pop it in. You don't need too much, just enough on there to coat the threads. We're not going to tighten them all down at the moment, we're just going to loosely put them in there and then tighten down at the end. So just a nice little bit of thread locker there. One thing I should mention before you fully put the neck back on, because you unconnected the connector and then put it back together again, just check to see if your scooter starts up and that everything is working on there. Perfect. Okay, so once they're all in, just make sure that they're all snugged down. We don't want any of them coming loose. I'm going to go pop on our grommet now, and to do that we're just simply going to slide our cable into that and then push it into place. So you might need a little bit of extra cable. These can be a bit tricky to get into place, so use a little plastic tool or a screwdriver. So sometimes I would actually put a little bit of water and with a tiny bit of soap on there just to lubricate it into place. But this time it's absolutely fine. I'll sort the other one out and we'll then show you how to hook the brake back up. Fantastic, so now the brake cable is in, you can see that we have it down here. We just need to slot it through there and tighten everything back up again. If you find that you need a bit of extra cable, simply just pull it down through here, obviously thread it from the brake at the top there, a little bit down, so that you can fit this all the way into there, like so. And it sits snugly. We also want a little bit of extra slack in the cable for when the wheel is turning. Firstly, what we want to do is get the 11mm bolt up there first. We don't need to Loctite this or anything. Just give it a little tighten. Next, what we want to do is add the spring to there. Pop that up. There we go. And then we're going to apply the boot. So the boot will go thicker side up, thinner side down. And then we're going to pull the brake down a little bit just to thread it through the barrel just there. Next point is to put on the adjuster nuts. So it goes in the little groove in first, the nut end down. Okay, so that's on there now. We're going to do a brake adjustment. So what we're going to do is pull up on the lever there and just keep twisting it until it goes a little bit further up, and you can see it holds it at that height. So we're adjusting this lever here. And keep going a little bit further. Make sure that the brakes aren't binding every time you twist the wheel, you can hear it. And to fill the brake adjustment that you would like, what we're going to do is spin the wheel really fast and then go play with the brake. So that's actually a little bit soft for what I like. I like it to be quite a sharp brake. So we're just going to twist it a little bit more. I like it when it's nearly there binding, but it's not actually there. So I'm going to spin it again. Barely even touched that then, and it went. So I'm going to back that off 1 or 2 turns and then just have a spin, because we want the electronic brake at the back to start braking before the front does. Saves on wear. Brilliant. So it's got a little bit of sponginess to it so that the back brake does its thing, and then when you brake a little bit harder, the front brake will come into play. So that's all adjusted and how I like it. So that's all adjusted how I like it now, and what we're going to do is pop on the retaining bolt. Thread that all the way up to the bolt. This is basically just to stop it. And then to lock it into place, it doesn't need to be tight. Get your 14mm and then your 8mm. Just snug it up. That's one brake done. And there we go. How easy was that? In less than 45 minutes, I changed the brake over and it's good as new and absolutely love it. The reason why I've changed this is because within the first month or so of owning it, I was figuring out how to adjust the brake, and I actually lost about 1.5 centimeters off of here. And so these are actually quite fragile. So if you're playing with your brakes often, these end bits will snap off or shear off, and it doesn't give you much room to play with, especially when you're adding suspension where you need that extra travel or that little bit extra. And I want to thank Kick Motion once again for sending me out these parts. I wouldn't be able to do it without them. These are tough times and we all need a little help every so often. Please consider liking and subscribing if you want to see more like this. And also, if you do want to put your own input in, please comment down below. Let me know what you want to see next. We'll see you in the next one.